Major funding for this program is made possible by grants from Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and Perfect Building Maintenance, KILROY Architectural Windows, Inc., New York's Window Company, New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, GREENBERG TRAURIG, LLP. Additional funding is provided by grants from Akron Gold Brothers, LLC, Briarwood Organization, Beechwood Organization, C.B. Richard Ellis, Cushman and Wakefield, Dime Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Hal Fettner, Durst Fettner Residential, First American Title Insurance Company of New York, Friedman, LLP, Gemini Real Estate Advisors, LLC, Jack Jaffa and Associates Real Estate Consultants, James D. KUHN Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Madison Realty Capital, Massey Knackle Realty Services, Meridian Capital Group, M&T Bank, MUSS Development, LLC, Des Moines Group, Newmark Knight Frank, ORPHANIDES and Associates, SJP Properties, Sterling and Sterling, Stonehenge Partners, Urban American, W Financial Mortgage Fund, the Wickoff Group.
Hello, my name is Michael Stoller. One of the biggest problems facing the city is the lack of affordable housing. And, you know, how do people qualify for affordable housing? How do people get home ownership of affordable housing? That's the subject that really has to be addressed today, especially in 2010, because we're still in a recession, we still have other problems. So today I brought together these 4 leading industry experts who will discuss affordable housing in New York City. My guest includes Jessica Katz, Executive Director at the Lantern Organization, Alan Bell, Principal at the Hudson Companies, Mary Brenna, Director of Field Offices at the Community Preservation Corporation, and last but not least, my friend, executive producer, I should say, with Julian Vanette, who helped him, Vincent Rizzo, the principal at the Briarwood Organization. Vinny, I don't want to say you've been in the business longer than most of us, but you and Mr. Bell have been in this business. What's happening with affordable housing today in New York City?
Home ownership, affordable housing, has dried up. New housing.
As we said prior to the show, let's explain, this is not baseball. We can't say, you know, strikes and balls. Explain, what do you mean by home ownership, market rate affordable housing? I mean, how do people get it, and how do they qualify? How do they find out about this, and so on? You or anyone else?
Well, to qualify for affordable housing, you have to meet a percentage of the area median income.
And what is today area median income?
The current area median income is 76,500.
76,500 for
family of 4.
For a family of 4. So that's
100%.
That's 100%. Right. And there's affordable housing based on, in certain levels, at 40% of affordable.
40% is approximately 30,000.
And then there is a program where it's 60 and 80%.
Correct.
And then there's another program like you're doing up in the Rockaways at 150%.
It can't go that high.
It can go, and wait, at one time it could go as high as 175%.
165.
Correct.
Yes.
The HDC New Hop rental housing program can go up to 100.
So how does someone gain the opportunity to have home ownership? Because as we were saying prior to the show, the biggest thing that people want is to own their own home. You know, that's the American dream. How does that happen?
The people that qualify for affordable housing enter a lottery. Both the developer and HPD run ads. The ads in the newspapers are run by the developer. HPD runs ads on their website. The people that respond to these lotteries are, it's just that, it's a lottery. And for instance, our last job...
Let's talk about that. You have a job on Grant Avenue.
Correct.
In the Bronx. There hasn't been new home ownership of a affordable cooperative in, what, 30 years over there?
30 years.
So somebody saw the ad. They had the income level to qualify, you know, in the certain categories, correct?
Right.
How much money do they have to put down?
They had to put down a minimum of 5%.
So they're going to get 95% financing.
Right.
Who's giving them the 95%? Because I heard before Mr. Bell complaining about not the lack of affordable money for the mortgages.
And loans, but I mean, as everyone has seen the papers, FHA, on the federal level, has stepped in to become sort of the major lender for not just affordable housing, but for almost all home ownership up to their limits of $729,000 mortgages.
And the Sunny Mae, the state
Yes,
mortgage insurance agency, also has a program for financing purchasers for first-time home buyers, where they will finance up to 97% for properties that are located in targeted areas. Part of the challenge with both FHA and with Sunny Mae, although that financing is available, is that they have pre-sale requirements. With FHA recently lowered it to 30%, which is very good. Sunny Mae is still at 50% in most cases, where at least half of the units have to be under contract before they will actually close on financing.
But what I heard from Vinny is, you know, you had 4,000 applicants.
Over 4,000.
Over 4,000 applicants, and you had people who signed these contracts.
Yes.
So, but these people had a problem in getting a mortgage.
Well, there's a number of problems in getting a mortgage recently. The first is appraisals. Banks used to be able to call their favorite appraiser who knew the subject properties and was able to quickly arrive at a sales price. Since the downturn, federal government has required that the bank cannot pick the appraiser directly. They go out to a subcontractor to pick those appraisers. And those appraisers have little, if any, knowledge of the community that they've been asked to appraise, and have little knowledge of the affordability, the subsidized projects.
Jessica, what type of affordable housing do you do? You have a special needs program.
Yeah, Lantern primarily develops supportive housing, which means that it's rental, permanent housing, so it's not a halfway house or a shelter or anything like that, but we are providing housing for very, very low-income people, mostly who are coming out of homeless shelters, who have some type of disability, such as HIV or mental illness.
Is it the same application process that they have to apply on a lottery?
It's not a lottery process, but their tenants are referred to us through city agencies such as the Department of Homeless Services or the Department of Health.
And how long can a person stay in this unit?
They can stay forever. Again, it's a rent-stabilized lease, so they have all the rights and responsibilities of that lease. They pay 30% of their income in rent. If that 30% is from a job that they have, then that's how they pay it. If it's from SSI or VA benefits or some other type of entitlement program, but they're all paying rent every month, and they have a lease, and they can stay forever.
Or can they pay it by Section 8, by
they
the
can
government
pay it by
allowance?
Section 8. Most of our buildings have the tenant pays 30% of their income, and the balance is covered by rental subsidy.
You and Vinny have been in this business for a number of years. Your company started in affordable housing, what, in 1990?
No, about 86, 87. Mm-hmm.
So what's happened since in the past 23 years?
A lot's happened. I mean, one thing we should talk about is the good things that are happening now. One is the construction costs have moderated, because one of the benefits of the sort of decline of general construction in the marketplace is that now we can build some of these units at lesser cost than we did before, and that's made it easier to make the subsidy dollars go further. But on the negative side, the city and especially the state is under tremendous budget challenges right now. So there's fewer dollars available for subsidizing either rental housing or for sale housing.
You have to get land.
Mm-hmm.
So the construction costs could be something, but if you can't get land to build this affordable housing, it doesn't matter. I mean, how do you get land to build something under affordable. And why does the developer, the two of you are private developers, why do you build affordable housing? I mean, Mary, she's a quasi nonprofit, but you are a nonprofit. Why does a developer build affordable housing?
It's a mixture of reasons. One is a personal, commitment to this business as a business, and well, you say altruistic, but I mean it's an important purpose, and it keeps from a business strategy point of view. When things are slow like now, it's a good way to keep the lights on and the phones working, and it's something we've always believed in. It's also a good discipline for our organization when we do market rate housing. To having done affordable housing, your people tend to think more efficiently, more economically. I mean, one of the things we're doing right now in a large affordable rental out in East New York is we're going to have the largest photovoltaic solar panel system of any building in New York State. So, that doing an affordable job gives us the chance to sort of do our R&D to get used to that and see if we want to do something that we might then do in a market rate building, for example.
The whole idea of affordable housing did not appeal to me when Kathy Wild first came into my office. I told her to get out, and I've apologized to her ever since. It is a wonderful program. It's not a giveaway. It brings people who are working families with a couple of dollars in the bank into home ownership. And once those people are in their own home, their entire lives change. And being able to do that gives, I think, both of us, all of us, large satisfaction.
Why don't you explain some of the roles of CPC in affordable housing and in housing in general?
Well, CPC is an affordable housing lender. We've been in existence since 1974. We started originally just in two neighborhoods in New York City, in Washington Heights and Crown Heights, financing the renovation of occupied apartment buildings. We've since expanded so that we cover all of New York State, all of New Jersey, and all of Connecticut. And we do base finance affordable housing in all of its forms. We do very deeply subsidized rental housing. We do special needs housing.
And where does your money come from?
Our money comes primarily from our construction lending comes from a line of credit provided by our member banks. We're owned by about 70 financial institutions. Most of our permanent loans are sold on the secondary market, primarily to the New York City and New York State pension funds, but we also sell to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Now, the big paper article about CPC is the Domino Sugar in Williamsburg.
Correct.
Where Williamsburg has become a very hot neighborhood, not for
cooling down in the last year or so, but yes, that's correct.
One she.
Right. Well, we do have a for-profit development arm called CPC Resources, which does development. Probably before Domino, we are best known for owning a number of the condo units in Parkchester. And we financed the renovation of the entire Parkchester complex, and have really revitalized that and stabilized it. It's one of the things that I think we're most proud of as an organization. We did acquire a couple of years ago the Domino Sugar Factory site. We've just started the ULURP process for rezoning that site, and we'll be developing it into about 2,000 units of housing. And we've committed to making at least 30% of those units affordable under a range of levels. You were talking before about the various categories of affordable housing, and we'll have some very low income units ranging up to units that are affordable about 120% of AMI.
A number of years ago, when you got into this business, and also in the 90s, you were able to get, because there was a lot of city land available, that the city gave it to you for $1. What happens today? How do you get land today to build affordable housing? I mean, you probably have one of the hardest things because you're doing a supportive housing type of job.
Well, luckily in supportive housing, actually, supportive housing never relied as heavily on the city-owned sites as some of the other affordable programs, and so supportive housing really grew out of purchasing and renovating old SROs, say in Midtown or on the Bowery on the Upper West Side. So it grew out of a preservation model, and then later on moved into new construction in the outer boroughs. But the supportive housing community was always accustomed to going out and buying distressed properties or buying vacant lots and doing housing on the private market. So that transition was a little easier in the supportive housing
Are,
market. I
are
think.
you presently in the middle of any new projects?
Yes, we have 3 projects under construction. We have one that's in ULURP in East Harlem, and we have several projects in pre-development, so we have quite a pipeline going.
So where is the project in East Harlem? I mean, just as an example.
It's on 118th and Park. It's on a corner site along the elevated tracks, which is part of the reason why that one is actually a city-owned property. And we were lucky enough to develop the property across the street many years ago. It's a property of ours called Schaefer Hall, which is a program for young adults aging out of foster care. And the new building across the street is going to be the sort of banner project of our Veterans Initiative that we're doing at Lantern for homeless veterans.
Now, you did a number of projects not too far away.
Yes, we built a new hop site.
Explain.
New hop is a rental site. A small building, 27 units, and a few blocks away from there we finished 17 3-family 4-story townhouses and 110 units of HDC co-op housing. Affordable.
And the 3-family homes?
Also affordable.
Also with this level of lottery and everything else?
Level of lottery and on city land.
And what are you working on today?
Today
projects.
we're finishing up a job in the Rockaways, 130 units on the beach.
2-family, 3-family?
Two families, co-ops, condos, and the 160 units that we talked about on Grant Avenue in the Bronx.
So let's talk a little bit about the Rockaways, because I know you have a property in the Rockaways. Who qualifies for the property in the Rockaways? Is it?
We're talking about people making up to 130% of AMI.
So 75.6 is 100% of AMI, so it could be up to 130%, maybe $100,000.
90 some
Right.
odd thousand,
97.
100,000.
And they also apply for the lottery.
Yes, they do.
And these is it limited to first-time homeowners, or could it be someone who's owned a home before?
First-time homeowners.
Yeah.
And what do you have in the Rockaways?
Well, Rockaways, we just finished 23 houses after a project that was 112 houses, and 5 left. But again, home ownership, single family or 2-family houses, which even in today's market, there's still a good demand for a brand new house. People still are looking for a 2-family house and 1-family house, and especially
on the
with
water.
a subsidized
I mean, you have the
one.
same beach
And a
as
beach
the
community.
Hamptons.
I know,
this is
and
That's right.
and those sell. You asked the question about sites. I mean, the city still has land. There's a variety of strategies. I mean, we're about to conclude a transaction with the Archdiocese of Brooklyn for a site where we'll build an affordable rental, hopefully elderly rental project. The city has sites. Also, the city has a strategy of inclusionary housing, and also the changes in the 421A tax exemption law, which sort of impose or incentivize, I should say, developers of market rate housing to do affordable housing. So there'll be some of that coming along as soon as the conventional marketplace picks up again.
So I have a question. I have a lender over here. Can you lend to these people?
It depends on what they're doing. Right now, we are not lending on for sale projects. We are actively lending on rental projects. And we recently just announced a new initiative called the Green Financing Initiative, where we are actively seeking loans in occupied buildings to finance, in addition to standard renovations, plumbing and wiring and so on that we've traditionally done. We're doing energy audits in these properties and also doing energy efficiency improvements, which we feel will be good for the properties, for the tenants, and for the city as a whole.
Now, aren't you doing something with CPC right now?
Yes, we are. We're completing a project on Watkins Street in Brooklyn as general contractors, and as joint ventures, we're doing the Melrose Commons Site C.
Why don't you talk Melrose Commons? Because Melrose was also another neighborhood like East New York and something like that needed. What's happening in Melrose section of the Bronx?
Well, Melrose is quite active. The Atlantic Group has the largest job there.
Barica?
Yes, Barica Village. A number of other developers have built sites there. The Blue Sea is doing a job.
And Joy Construction has a huge thing.
Joy has a lot of work over there.
Right.
What was this? Was this vacant land?
This was
This wasn't Fort Apache, as we would call it.
no. This was mostly vacant land. The site that we have is a vacant property.
The interesting thing that someone has said a number of years ago on the show is you can build this affordable housing, but what sometimes is lacking is the retail component for this affordable housing. How do the people, I mean, have the little grocery or the others, because they can't be subsidized? I mean, even in your places, they need food, they need the drugstore or something like that.
Our project contains 25,000 foot of retail.
And how easy is it for you to rent the retail space?
Well, that remains to be seen. By the time we get into the ground, it'll be a year from now, year and a half.
But these rental projects are not underwritten with very high rents for the retail. The expectation is a modest rent. In fact, the developer has to usually master lease back all of the retail space, and it's up to the developer to then market it. But one of the projects we're doing is out at Gateway Shopping Center, where we're partners with the related company. So they've finished an 1,000,000 square foot shopping center, and another 800,000 square feet is coming in. We're going to be building a total of 8 units. We're going to start off with 8 buildings. Start off with 4 buildings. That'll be all affordable rental units, very close to a major new shopping center. So.
And then it won't be too far away from Aqueduct either.
One of the projects that we're financing is also in near Gateway is the second phase of the Nehemiah housing project out in East New York, which is an example of a project that really has changed a neighborhood by creating home ownership opportunities.
Right, and our site's immediately, we're surrounded by Nehemiah, so there's home ownership and ours will be rental.
Would you explain to my audience what do you mean by Nehemiah? I'm familiar with it, but...
Right, Nehemiah is a home ownership program that has been sponsored by East Brooklyn Churches, an organization of churches. It started in East New York that was interested in providing housing, home ownership specifically, opportunities for the local community. And of course, at that point, we're going back to the early to mid '80s. We're talking about a time when East New York was completely devastated and had vast tracts of vacant land that had been cleared under the urban renewal days, but had no longer been developed. And in the course of probably close to 20 years now, they have developed about 3,000 units of one and now 2 family homes
at what price?
In East New York. Well, in the early days, they were as cheap as $50,000. They were really cheap. Right now, they're significantly more expensive, of course, but they're still selling at about 30 to 40% below the market prices in East New York. And the current phases that we're financing right now are actually, speaking of sites, are built on landfill.
Now, are these also under the affordable concept, 80%,
Yes,
100%,
yeah, absolutely.
20%?
These are all affordable under, most of them they're all affordable under 80%. The 2-family homes especially are affordable under 60%.
Now, the 2-family homes, the person buys the home, or they're 2 separate?
No, they buy the home and rent the apartment.
And what can they rent the apartment at? Anything?
They can rent it at market rate. As Alan was saying before, in most cases what we see with these 2-family homes is that they're in effect bought by extended family, so that a great deal of the time the rental unit is rented out to, mother, father, cousin, grown children.
Jessica, let's talk a little bit about supportive. What services do you provide to these people? Okay, they may be HIV, they may have certain other problems, but do you provide any additional services or training or anything to these people?
We do. We have case management on site in all of our buildings, so we'll probably have 4 or 5 staff members.
And what type of work what type of case management do they do for the? Yeah,
people throw around that term a lot, and I always like to define what it means. So to me, case management is all the things that you or I have our friends and family and colleagues to take care of. If I need help with my resume, or if I want a reference for a job, or if I want somebody to show me where the nearest supermarket or dry cleaner is. I have friends and family to talk to about that. My tenants tend to be people who have been socially isolated for a long time, and we're really using the case managers to bring them out of that, to help provide those kind of social networks that you or I take for granted, and we don't call it case management when we do it.
If you have the elderly, do you provide food? Sometimes do you coordinate with City Wheels and Met Council and the other situations?
Sure, that's the other main thing that our case managers do, is connect people with whatever services in the community they need. So if that's meals, or if it's housekeeping, if someone's getting more frail, or if it's a literacy class or a job training program, we help connect them to services in the community.
From the discussion that we had prior to the show and listening here, perhaps the biggest problem that you foresee today in the affordable home ownership is the mortgage problem, of people getting mortgages. Correct, Vincent?
The mortgage problem is the biggest single problem that affordable developers or market rate developers have right now.
Alan?
Yes.
I mean, you have market rate deals.
I mean, it's not that
today.
it can't be done, but it's a tremendous amount of work and effort these days. I mean, what used to be able to sell and close a house in 30 days now takes 90 to 120 days at best. It's just a lot of work, a lot more document, and the world has flipped 180 degrees before you could just get a mortgage without any effort.
Why can't CPC provide those mortgages?
We're not a retail lender.
Yeah.
We're a what's called a commercial lender, which means we provide construction financing for the development or renovation of multifamily or single-family homes, but we are not set up to do the retail lending for the individual buyers.
The mayor spoke about 165,000 affordable housing. Where do we stand today, and where are we going to be in 2010? How many new units do you think might be developed?
Well, I know they passed the halfway mark.
Does 165 include yours?
It does.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And it includes a lot. Alan was talking about it before. It includes preservation units as well as newly created units.
Right. For developers like us, I'm concerned that the pressure is shifted toward preservation because of all these buildings that are over-leveraged with too much debt, and the city is trying to step in, rightly so, to restructure them in a way that will assure long-term viability. But to the extent that subsidy dollars are pulled away from new construction, and you lose the bang that you get from new construction, which is not just new housing, but it's a tremendous economic multiplier for neighborhoods.
So I think, I'd like to thank the four of you. I think my audience has got a pretty good idea of how to find affordable housing, what's happening in affordable housing, the difficulties, and the great places. And I'd like to emphasize that each one of you have wonderful websites which lists your projects and other programs. So I suggest you go to the websites of the Lantern Group, the Hudson Companies, the Community Preservation Corporation, and the Briarwood. Thanks, Jessica Katz, Alan Bell, Mary Brenner, and my producer, Vincent Rizzo, and Julian Vanette. See you next week.
Major funding for this program is made possible by grants from Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and Perfect Building Maintenance, KILROY Architectural Windows, Inc., New York's Window Company, New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, GREENBERG TRAURIG, LLP. Additional funding is provided by grants from Akron Gold Brothers, LLC, Briarwood Organization, Beechwood Organization, C.B. Richard Ellis, Cushman and Wakefield, Dime Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Hal Fettner, Durst Fettner Residential, First American Title Insurance Company of New York, Friedman, LLP, Gemini Real Estate Advisors, LLC, Jack Jaffa and Associates Real Estate Consultants, James D. KUHN Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Madison Realty Capital, Massey Knuckle Realty Services, Meridian Capital Group, M&T Bank, MUSS Development, LLC, Des Moines Group, Newmark Knight Frank, ORPHANIDES and Associates, SJP Properties, Sterling and Sterling, Stonehenge Partners, Urban American, W Financial Mortgage Fund, the Wickoff Group.